Kamado Tanjiro ticks every box of the shounen hero archetype. He's pure-hearted and heroic, putting his life on the line to save the weak and vulnerable. But what if things were different? What if Tanjiro fought for the forces of evil instead of joining the Demon Slayers? In today's video, we'll be exploring a popular fan theory from the Demon Slayer anime. What if Tanjiro was raised by Kibutsuji Muzan? Muzan's motivation for killing the Kamado family was basically just centuries of repressed trauma from his encounter with Yoriichi, where the legendary Demon Slayer effortlessly slashed through Muzan's 7 hearts and 5 brains. However, if the king of all demons set aside his fear for a moment, he would realize that the Hanafuda earrings represent not just a threat, but an opportunity as well. Eliminating the possibility of facing another Sunbreather is great, but adding a demon with that ability to his own forces is twice as effective. Furthermore, taming the Kamado lineage would also help Muzan overcome his physiological vulnerability to sunbreathing. Before we go down this rabbit hole, a few details of the Demon Slayer universe need to be changed for the theory to work. First, Muzan must kill the Kamado family far earlier than the original Demon Slayer timeline. Even though Tanjiro's life is far from luxurious, this family of coal burners have a pretty loving and wholesome household. Unlike other backgrounds that gave rise to demons like Gyutaro, if Tanjiro is old enough to understand that his family was murdered by demons, there's no way he ends up joining them. This also means that our alternate reality does not involve Nezuko, as she's not been born yet. The second condition is that Muzan himself cannot attack the Kamado household. We know that members of the Kamado lineage have incredible memory based on how they preserve the art of sunbreathing, even though Sumiyoshi Kamado only witnessed it for an instant. We'll explore the Hinokami Kagura a bit later in this video, but it's easy to believe that the memory of his parents' death would surely be burned into Tanjiro's mind. As we see in the series, Tanjiro's keen sense of smell means that he would be able to smell Muzan's involvement and remember the scent. This means Muzan would probably have to send one of the lower moons to wipe out the family and critically injure Tanjiro before he visits the Kamado household and saves Tanjiro's life by turning him into a demon. Now, this is where things get interesting, because it's hard to imagine Tanjiro being driven by hate, arrogance, or envy like other demons. So if trauma and rage are not on the table, what other option does Muzan have to keep Tanjiro fighting for the demons? We know that Muzan is a master manipulator that can easily toy with his subject's emotions. So in Tanjiro's case, he would need to use these skills to groom our protagonist. Muzan could push Tanjiro to become a powerful demon by motivating him to find justice for his family. We've already seen through the examples of Rui, Akaza, or Gyutaro and Daki that familial ties can fuel demonic strength. This fan theory depends as much on Tanjiro's naivety as it does on Muzan's skills as a master manipulator. Imagine a world where Muzan exploits Tanjiro's natural tendency to protect the vulnerable. He could easily go further to convince Tanjiro that demons are a weak and vulnerable race doomed to live in the shadows. While the Demon Slayers could be the violent oppressors in his narrative, if Muzan could somehow pin the Kamado family's destruction on the Demon Slayer core, it would complete Tanjiro's conversion to the demon side. This would not be too difficult as well, since Tanjiro already fought against Kiyabu even in the original series. So if Tanjiro sides with the demons and is raised personally by Muzan, he would end up being one of the Demon King's most loyal generals, and would probably reach the level of one of the upper moons after consuming more of Muzan's blood. Think about it, with his hardy skull and unbreakable spirit, Tanjiro is already an absolute unit of a human. But how would things change if he becomes a demon? Firstly, his physical training under Muzan would show a stark contrast to Sakonji Orokodaki's training approach. Muzan would teach Tanjiro to explore the limits of his new body and integrate the demon's healing factor into his fighting style. In addition to the normal speed and strength boosts that demons get, Muzan would definitely train Tanjiro to use blood demon arts. We see a wide range of techniques in the Demon Slayer universe, with effects ranging from poison and restraint to teleportation. However, Tanjiro's blood demon art would likely be something that complements his physical prowess, similar to Akaza's shockwaves. But the critical detail that makes Tanjiro a truly fearsome demon is his sunbreathing. The young Tanjiro would have seen his father performing the Hinokami Kagura, allowing him to copy the technique. Because of Kokushibo's moon breathing, we know that demons can perform breathing techniques if these are learned while they're human. However, sunbreathing is the original and most powerful breathing technique, meaning that if Tanjiro is trained in swordsmanship by Kokushibo, he could surpass the level of Upper Moon 1 if given enough time to perfect his craft. In addition to his strength, Tanjiro also possesses the ability to read people's emotions really well. Throughout the series, we see him getting through to characters like Kanao, and even empathizing with demons. Emotion tends to be a weak point for most demons, as they underestimate the Demon Slayer's resolve and fail to understand their motivation. However, a demon Tanjiro would convert this weakness into a strength. He would read the Demon Slayer's emotions and use their thoughts against them, exploiting each fighter's insecurities to throw them off their game. And this brings us to humanity's saviors, the Demon Slayers. Not only are they handicapped by not having Tanjiro on their side, but they also have to get through him to reach Muzan. While the Hashira are capable of posing a challenge to the Upper Moons by the end of the Hashira training arc, only Gyomei can reliably make it out of a fight alive. Furthermore, Tanjiro played a vital role in the defeat of Gyutaro and Han Tengu, meaning that the Demon Slayers would likely never reach the level we see in the series without his help. Now, you're probably listening to this theory and thinking it paints a pretty bleak picture for humanity, but there's one way the Demon Slayers can still gain an edge. That is to turn Tanjiro to their side. We've already discussed how Tanjiro doesn't really have the heart of a demon, as he would have experienced kindness throughout his human life. Furthermore, Nezuko shows us that a demon with compassion and love in her heart can retain its sanity and can even overcome the demon's weakness to sun. So what would it take to convince a demonic Tanjiro to join the Demon Slayers? Most demons are cruel and violent just for the sake of it, and it's easy to imagine that Tanjiro would be uncomfortable with his fellow demon's bloodlust. He would question their brutal murder of innocent humans for entertainment instead of sustenance. Furthermore, we've seen through the case of the drum demon Kyogai that some demons can simply grow tired of killing. Tanjiro's natural empathy may drive him to that stage much sooner. Tanjiro would also disagree with some of the philosophies of many of the upper moons, leading to tensions within the demon hierarchy, similar to Akaza's hatred for Doma. This creates an opportunity for the Demon Slayers to convert Tanjiro by appealing to his better nature. Of course, this is a risky move, and the execution depends on who approaches Tanjiro. A hothead like Sanemi would only make things worse by aggravating Tanjiro, while Giyu or Muichiro don't have the emotional intensity to move him. The ideal candidate would be someone like Kagaya Ubuyashiki, who could tactfully defend the Demon Slayer's cause. However, it's difficult to imagine a world where he comes into contact with a high-ranking demon. Then our best candidates for the job become either Gyomei or Rengoku. Gyomei's sensitivity, soft-spokenness, and immense strength are the perfect combination of traits to get through to Tanjiro. On the other hand, Rengoku's passion has moved tougher demons in the past, meaning that he should be able to persuade Tanjiro to change alliances if they ever battled each other. So ultimately, there are two ways this fan theory can go. First, Tanjiro becomes an upper moon, turning the demons into a more formidable threat, and assisting Muzan even further in his search for the blue spider lily. A different demon slayer may rise up to the challenge in Tanjiro's absence, but from what we've seen in the series, that's pretty unlikely, as very few humans are even capable of passing the final selection. Then this reality culminates in the total annihilation of the Demon Slayer Corps, and the demons led by Kibutsuji Muzan taking over the world. Our other alternative is for Tanjiro to switch sides in a later stage of his demonhood, supporting the Demon Slayers in their fight against Muzan. This switch in allegiance would prove to be the tipping point in their battle, allowing the Demon Slayers to gain an upper hand against the Demon King. We can imagine Tanjiro playing a support role similar to what Genya does already. With his support, the Hashira would face the Upper Moons and Muzan at the Infinity Castle, and after significant losses, humanity prevails, finally ending the Demon King's reign of terror. So which of these endings do you like? Let us know in the comments, and in the meantime, if you want to see another cool video, you can check out this one that's appearing on your screen. Click on it to see.